The International Formula 3000 Championship has included a race at Monaco for the past 5 seasons. In 3 of those 5 seasons, the winner of the Monaco round has gone on to win the championship in their career. But in order to win here, you must first survive the unforgiving Arco and keep your nose out of trouble. The 4th round of the Formula 3000 Championship on the streets of Monte Carlo is next.
Hello and welcome to the 4th round of the International Formula 3000 Championship, live from Monaco. I'm Rick DeBrool alongside David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. An absolutely beautiful day for the Formula 3000 drivers to take to the track. You're looking at live pictures, beautiful pictures all the way around in this circuit, David.
Absolutely, some great scenes, great scenery in Monte Carlo, the mountains, the buildings, the boats, the water, the girls. Look at those boats.
And a lot of money. Well, 2 weeks ago in Austria, we saw our 3rd different winner in as many races this season. In fact, all 3 winners have won from the pole. And as always, the race provided us with some pretty exciting moments. So we want to take a quick look back at the round 3 from the A1 ring in Austria. Beautiful in Monaco. It was also beautiful in Austria that day, as I remember. But let's talk about the race. Riccardo Sperafico was the guy who started from the pole position with championship leader Bjorn Verdheim alongside. The lights went out and Sperafico held the lead into the Castrol curve. Amazingly, David, the entire field was able to negotiate it cleanly.
Yes, it looked like a recipe for disaster coming up into that Castrol curve. They all got through, going pretty wide there, some of them, but of course that gravel had been replaced. Bernard Aringer was standing in for the injured Patrick Freisiger at Red Bull, and he proved right away that he belongs here, passing Derek Hill for 14th. Good pass.
Giorgio Pantano locked it up trying to make a move on Liuzzi for 3rd. They go down side by side. Check out the drag race with Pantano eventually getting by.
By being on the inside as they went into the Remus curve. That was a good pass there by Pantano. More trouble for Derek Hill on lap 19 as he spins. Look at this, he spins around, just about nails everybody. In fact, looks like he's going to get away with it. And just has his wing clipped by the left rear tyre there of Aringer. And that would, unfortunately, end the day for poor old Derek Hill.
Looks like Rob Nguyen hit the nitrous oxide button right here. Got a little extra boost and a little flame out the back as well. How about the other Americans? Phil Giebler here follows Schmidt for 9th place as Jaroslav Yanis goes wide. 2 laps later, though, Giebler gets by an ailing Schmidt for 8th and gets his first championship points.
Good showing for Townsend Bell, despite getting passed here by Nicholas Chiesa for 6th spot. Bell wind up 7th.
Meanwhile, back up front is Riccardo Sperafico leading flag to flag, hitting up the 3rd winner in 3 rounds of the Formula 3000 Championship season. A little donut action.
Quite a bit of donut action, actually. This is all on what was gravel last year, but is now asphalt. The drivers liked it a lot better.
So Sperafico was the winner. Bjorn Verdheim, though, managed to finish 2nd, and that's very important for his points. And Giorgio Pantano, still alive in all this, finished 3rd.
Liuzzi there in 4th in the Red Bull car. Enrique Toccocello in the Jordan Jr. car. And Nicholas Chiesa coming in 6th.
Now, check this out. The 2 Americans, Townsend Bell finally getting some points by finishing 7th. Phil Giebler also got some points by finishing 8th.
Jaroslav Yanis there in 9th spot. Zolt Baumgartner. Rob Nguyen had a fairly adventurous race. He did a lot of blocking and a lot of off-road excursions, but he ended up in 13th spot.
And Derek Hill, the other American, ended up last in 17th as a result of those problems. Now let's talk about driver points. Bjorn Verdheim, by virtue of a 1st and 2 seconds, leads after 3 rounds.
But it's very close from 2nd through 5th with those points really close together there.
And the American Townsend Bell getting 2 points in Austria as a result. He's in 12th. Phil Giebler got 1 point, so he is in 15th. Now that's for the drivers' points. Steve, here's the team.
Yeah, and the team's points look Arden International now 10 points clear of 2nd place Colonia 3000 and Durango Formula, both on 18, and also Red Bull Junior, also on 18 points there in the Jordan Grand Prix Junior team. In fourth. And then now look further down there in ninth spot, Team Astromiga. We put a little asterisk at the side of that. They're on 3 points, but they could well face a penalty of -5 points. So they could look at the moment like they're going to finish the season -2. Not the best.
Because they only had one car.
Away. Yeah, only had one car at Osijek, and they took 5 points away because Hoydunk didn't show up, which seems to be a bit tough when you've only got a small field anyway, that you want to penalise people for not arriving.
The signs are out. The cars are getting ready to grid up. Remember, we're just a short ways away from the start of the Formula 3000 race here at Monaco. They've been out checking out the track, and now it's time to start gridding. Peter Windsor, by the way, caught up with some of the Formula 3000 drivers to get their thoughts on this track, and then he also caught up with them after they'd run it for a few times to see what their thoughts had changed. We'll find out that in a moment. Welcome back to Speed Channel's live coverage of the Formula 3000 race from Monaco. Getting ready for all the cars to grid up. Front row still has yet to arrive. Ricardo Sperafico on the outside, Bjorn Verdheim on the inside. Just 20 minutes away from the start of the race. Now, if you talk to most of the drivers, they will tell you they either love the Monaco circuit or they hate it. You know, there's rarely anybody who is indifferent to this place. So Peter Windsor caught up to several of the Formula 3000 drivers to get their thoughts on driving in Monte Carlo. Then he got their thoughts following the qualifying session to see if the Armco had changed their opinions. Peter?
A dramatic qualifying for the Formula 3000 race here at Monte Carlo. Very early on Friday morning, I spoke to our Americans before they went out. Also spoke to a few other drivers, get their impressions of what they thought Monaco would be like and what it was actually like once they'd done a few laps.
You know, as a kid, you're always dreaming about racing here, so it's going to be really exciting being out there, and I hope to stay out of the walls and make the most of the practice session and make use of it in qualifying, really.
Until you get out there in the race car, you really don't know what to expect. So, like Phil says, you just go out and try to run the whole first session without having any problems and just build some experience.
We're definitely getting out there while it's cool, and it's a good thing just to get it out of the way in the morning and and qualify and prepare for tomorrow.
To race in Monaco is an absolute passion for me to get here, and I seized the opportunity as soon as I could. So this is really a dream come true.
Let's see what's gonna happen, because probably it's gonna be a lot of crashes around, but we need to find a clean lap as well. But I'm quite confident, the track. In the last 2 years, my first points I did here, and so let's see today.
It was not a good qualifying session for the Americans, alas. Townsend Bell, Phil Giebler and Will Langhorne all hit the wall in various degrees, various corners, various incidents.
Really bad luck, and they had a crash in the entry of that corner, and maybe it was a bit dirty, and I got a bit quick in there, but you never know. I've been going over that curve before, and it's been fine. We lowered the ride height, and maybe that just put the car into the wall.
In the last couple laps, I just got hung up in traffic a little bit, and I'm just, I don't know, I'm really disappointed because around here qualifying's everything. I think, I expected more out of myself, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, for sure it's not bad, but the yellow flag and a lot of many people were slowing down for them lap, and in the last 5 laps was a nightmare.
I have sometime yellow flag, sometime I didn't have mistake. I think it was possible also for me to make the best lap, but and sometimes I'm too much on luck.
That's a great result, pole position for you at Monaco.
It was great, I felt I had a speed all the time. The problem was just to get clear runs, and in the end I managed, so I'm happy, I'm really happy.
Did you actually get a clear run?
I did get a clear run, but I had some problems with some of the slower cars.
As we saw in qualifying, it's going to be impossible to overtake in the race, so guys at the back waiting for breaks, waiting for incidents, holes they can perhaps go through on the first couple of laps of the race.
And one guy we didn't hear from was Townsend Bell. That's because they were still picking up the pieces from his car. As a result, he's going to be starting last. Now, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we will take a closer look at last season's championship winning team and the drivers that hope to give Arden International its second straight championship. Stick around for more on Speed Channel. Welcome back to the Formula 3000 event at Monaco, getting ready to get underway. You're 19 years old, you're running at Monaco, and this is the company you keep, David.
And that gentleman on the left was had to take his glasses off to see what name that was on that lady's shirt. Most extraordinary behavior.
It's Yaroslav Yanis, once again 19 years old, doesn't even turn 20 until July, and he's already having quite an experience. Well, you know, over the years, David Sears' Supernova teams have been the most successful in Formula 3000. They have the most wins, the most poles, just about every record that can be held. But, you know, recently, Christian Horner's Arden International Racing Team has taken the fight to Supernova. In fact, they even won the team championship last year. So Peter Windsor caught up with Horner to talk about his ever-improving team.
David Sears' Supernova team has long dominated European Formula 3000. However, a new name has appeared in the last few years, Arden International. Run by Christian Horner, former racing driver, did pretty well. Very nice guy. He also happens to run Townsend Bell.
Yeah, I've been very pleased with the progress that he's made so far. He's been quick from the first time he sat in the car. All the circuits are new to him. So, you know, that's posing a bit of a challenge, especially here in Monaco this weekend. But you know, he's got a very quick teammate that he's running alongside, and you know, he's getting closer and closer. So so far so good.
Well, let's expand that a little bit. He is very, very quick, Bjorn, isn't he?
Bjorn is, yeah, I mean, Bjorn was a rookie last year with a quick teammate, Thomas Enger. He learned from him and finished the season winning the final race at Monza. So it was only logical to renew his contract for a further year. And he, again, also has been very impressive with his mental approach this season. He's been very consistent, by far the most consistent of the championship contenders. And, you know, he's a great teammate for Townsend to be working alongside.
And when you first took that decision to become a team owner, obviously David Sears was the benchmark. He was the guy that was winning races. And you've managed to take him on and actually beat him, shall we say. He is good, though, David, isn't he? I mean, it's a very, very high level of operation now in 3000.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. David's track record in 3000 is exemplary. They are the most successful team in the category. However, in recent years, you know, we've been emerging. We're a young team. We're you know, positive for the future. We want to go forwards. I don't see Formula 3000 as anything more than a stepping stone at this point in time, but a very important stepping stone, and you know, one that we need to consistently be winning in.
Well, as Christian said, these guys are in Formula 3000 not only to race for today. Looks to me like he's the sort of guy that could well progress to Formula One. He's good at picking drivers, he's good at running a team, and certainly I think we should listen to what he says about Townsend's talent.
Yeah, but it's one thing to move up as a driver. These days, to move up as a team is even tougher.
Very tough indeed. But Christian Horner comes from our part of the world, Arden International, named after the Forest of Arden, set in the Midlands of England. He went to school with my godson at Warwick. He's only about 29, I think, Christian Horner. He was a pretty good little race driver, but he obviously thought that he would do better as a team owner than as a driver, and he's certainly so far looking very strong.
Very sensible sounding chap. Very young chap, but very sensible.
All right, we're going to take another brief break. When we come back, one David Hobbs is going to explain just exactly what it's like to drive around this track. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Looking at Bjorn Wertheim's car, and there's the man himself, the points leader for the Formula 3000 Championship this year, getting ready to dive in and do battle on this track, the legendary Monaco circuit. And David, why don't you take us around and explain this track?
Well, the last two races have been won from the pole here, and you can see why. This place is very twisty, and we talk about being difficult to overtake on some of these Formula One tracks. This one is probably the worst example. Start-finish line, up to Saint-Devote. You want to get Saint-Devote right, because it's pretty steeply uphill through Beau Rivage, around Massenet and into the Casino Square, at which point you start going downhill pretty steeply through Mirabeau and the Grand Hotel hairpin, both very understeery types of corners. Flattens it as it goes through Portier, and then you want to make a really good exit off Portier to go through the tunnel, fastest point on the track, down to the Nouvelle chicane, and running along the front there. Swimming pool's been opened up this year, but La Rascasse and the last corner very tight onto the start pretty straight.
Now, the start-finish straight's not particularly straight here. You can see it, that run down to Saint-Devote. It does curve round to the right. Hasn't got a very official name, but be very careful on that run down to Saint-Devote as they come off the grid there. It's a site of many, many first-lap accidents as everybody files down into that first corner to turn right on that charge up to hill into Casino Square. You look at the cars, there will be an awful lot of downforce. Not an awful lot these guys can do really in comparison to the Formula One cars, of course. You need to get the downforce onto the car as much as possible. All the cars are set equally, of course, built to the same dimensions as Formula One. Restricted on power and revs, 9,000 RPM, but it's not all about power around here. You need good traction, and the guys need to set the cars soft enough, and there is your traction control right there on these cars.
Very good.
At the end of your foot. And the thing you guys really have to remember is to avoid the walls. I mean, carnage is a problem here. They only had 7 cars finished last year. There's been a number of cars that have been hitting the guardrails this weekend. And so the secret here is just to avoid carnage as much as possible.
Yeah.
Just keep it down the
try to
middle.
look like a fashion plate, like so many people seem to do here at Monte Carlo.
Well, the girls are stepping off the grid, which means they're about to go racing. So we're going to take a brief break. We'll come back with more from Monaco in just a moment. Speed's coverage of Formula 3000. Welcome back to Speed Channel's live coverage of the Formula 3000 Championship event from Monaco. That was Riccardo Sperafico, the winner in Austria, and now starting on the front row. It's Giorgio Pantano, who won 5 races last year, and it's really taken this Durango team to a new level.
Giorgio Pantano is only 2 short of the all-time most wins in Formula 3000, which stands at 7.
He's got 5 total for his career. 3 of them came last year.
But he... I'll tell you what, last year he impressed me. He was so good at overtaking. I mean, he was absolutely the demon overtaker.
The old Vernheim we're looking at there in the Arden International.
Appel sitter.
That's the front row right there. Wertheim beside him, Sperafico. All right, let's take a look at this race last year, because last year it was a real crash fest. Start of the race, Sebastian Bourdais led from the pole with the Supernova team. Now watch this start. At the field, gets into Saint-Devote. Amazingly, everybody gets through cleanly.
You can see how that garden comes in there. This year, that has gone. They've got some open space here where that bit of greenery is. On lap 4, our championship contender Pantano threw away his race when he clipped the arm co at Rusgas, breaking the rear suspension in the process. While running in second, Rodrigo Sperafico suffered mechanical gremlins and retired, moving Friesacker to second and Enrico Toccacella to third.
Zoe Baumgarten in the Nordic entry slammed the wall at the exit of the Nogues corner. Needless to say, suspension was shattered along with this race. Lap 16, Alex Muller in the Durango all over Ricardo Mauricio in the Red Bull car, but as David will tell you can't pass there.
2 laps later, Muller's still inches away from Mauricio in the swimming pool, and also still not passing. With 16 laps left, Muller hit the rear of Mauricio, damaging the rear wing and sending debris everywhere.
15 laps to go, Enrico Toccacella throws away a podium finish at Saint-Devote as he smacks the barrier. Ooh, right there. All right, then 5 laps to go. Mauricio is slow out on the Novelle chicane. Muller gets a run on him, and Mauricio nearly puts Muller in the wall with that block.
Boy, that was a bit grotesque. 2 laps left, Muller locked up in his approach to the Nouvelle chicane and hit Mauricio yet again. And Mauricio sent straight across the chicane.
In the end, Sebastian Bourdais walked away from the field and led flag to flag to take his second win of the 2002 season. But the battle between Mauricio and Muller wasn't over.
In the final turn through Rusgas, Muller has had enough and punks Mauricio out of the way. Mauricio isn't done and tries to return the favor. And he hits Muller, but slides himself into the tires and out of the race in the final turn, and Muller was not classified as a result of his actions.
The podium in the Royal Box, Bourdais wins. Patrick Friesacker had a career best second place finish. Thomas Enga rounding out the podium just by surviving that one. That's pretty much what it boiled down to as they sprayed the champagne. That was last year. This year is coming up in just a moment here on Speed Channel. Live coverage of Formula 3000 from Monaco when we return. Welcome back to Speed Channel's live coverage of the Formula 3000 race from Monaco. Just a minute or so away from when the cars roll off, and it is an absolutely beautiful day in Monaco. 73 degrees, 96 degrees on the track. A little humidity. It's actually gone up a bit during the course of the day. Just a slight breeze coming off the ocean. But overall, great conditions to go racing, David.
Absolutely perfect, and some of these guys are going to need it. This This race has the imprint of a crash fest all over it. It's very difficult to get to the streets of Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
All these guys are impressed. All the Formula One teams, managers and sponsors, of course, are all here in Monte Carlo for the Grand Prix tomorrow. And so everybody's going to be trying really, really hard. Some will try way too hard. Let's hope the ones at the back don't try it too hard. And regrettably, a lot of our American guys are at the back.
They've had kind of a rough qualifying session.
Very rough qualifying.
They qualified yesterday. The Formula One guys qualified on Thursday, but these guys were out there yesterday, and it was not a pretty day for the Americans.
Tension's running very high. Rev limit is running very high there.
And you have to remember, there's not a lot of experience for these drivers at this track. It's not like Formula One where you've got drivers who've driven here year after year after year. A lot of these guys have never driven here, or maybe driven here once, as the case may be. But it looks like everybody's getting away cleanly. So let's talk about how they're going to line up today. On the front row, Bjorn Wertheim, the series leader, his second pole of the year. Beside him, the guy who won in Austria, Riccardo Sperafico.
On row 2, Giorgio Pantano in the Durango car, who's third in the points, and he's very good at overtaking. And next to him, Liuzzi, who's fifth in points in the first of the Red Bull cars.
Row number 3, Enrico Taccacello, the only driver besides Wertheim who scored points in every race so far. And Nicholas Chiesa beside him, and he says his car is much faster than he qualified.
And in 7th spot, Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk, who's back after having been away last week without any money, or 2 weeks ago. He has no points. And alongside him, Jaroslav Yanis, 19, the youngest driver here, and now a Jordan test driver.
Row number 5, Rafael Jean-Maria, finally off the back row after the last 2 races, and beside him, Sperafico's teammate Zolt Baumgartner.
Row 6 is Yannick Schroeder, 9th in points in the ISR Cheroux, and next to him is Bernhard Auringer, and only his second outing in the Red Bull car.
Row number 7, All-American. Check out those American flags, but just in the wrong place. Derek Hill, beside him Phil Giebler, got his first point at the last race.
In 15th spot, Tony Schmidt, who spun on his outlap in his qualifying. Must be a bit disappointed after his best qualifying run 2 weeks ago in Austria. And alongside him, another American, Will Langhorne, standing in for Rob Newen. He had 3 IRL races last year.
And the final row is actually just one car. Townsend Bell, because of his crash, ended up on the back row. And Alessandro Piccolo was qualified for the race, but he crashed at the end of the qualifying session. As a result, he has been withdrawn, and they're saying his injuries may be enough to keep him out of the series for months and possibly the entire season.
Boy, that's not what you want to hear when you're a race driver.
No.
Not at all.
They're still feeding around onto the grid.
And we were just speculating, okay, if there's going to be an accident on this first lap, guys, where's it going to happen? First turn, or are they going to make it through there?
Well, there's really 2 big possibilities for a shunt at the start of these races. Down into turn 1 at Saint-Devote, turn 1, or as they funnel up the hill through Casino Square and then the sharp right at Mirabeau down into the old Lowe's hairpin. Look out there as the back markers start to funnel around and they all bunch up.
Well, the 2 championship leaders on the front row, Wertheim closest to us, Sperafico at the background. Sperafico winning 2 weeks ago in Austria. This could be a tough little race up into Saint-Devote. Saint-Devote's been opened up a lot now, which should make it easier. The trouble is when you open the track up, it looks easier. You can see where you're going. There's more space, or seems to be more space, and that's why more people try to crowd into what space is there.
Yeah. This could be the most important win in a young driver's career at Monaco. And they're away.
Oh, Sperafico tries to cut across the track there, but he's still behind Wertheim. Enter Saint-Devote.
Toccacello up to 4th place already. There is the Saint-Devote
turn. A whole bunch of guys leading off up the escape road there, which of course you couldn't do before. Well, they get penalised for that. One of them was Derek Hill.
But the amazing thing was they all made it through cleanly.
Right. Up into Casino Square. There is the casino at the top left of your picture. And now the dive down past the tip-top bar. Now round Mirabeau and down into that tight grand hairpin. There it is.
This is one of the places where there could be some disaster. They all seem pretty strung out, though. I don't think anybody's going to be trying any brave moves at this point.
No, I think they all got through.
Wertheim showing really well in front of all those Formula One teams here on cold tyres, making a brilliant start and pulling out, going very fast on his opening lap.
So, out of the tunnel. Now, run out of the tunnel through the Nouvelle Chicane, round the harbour and heading now into the swimming pool complex. About 3/4 of the way through the first lap, and I think everybody is still running.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of shuffle in that top 6 where Bjorn Verdheim took the lead. Obviously, he had the pole, then Sperafico. Then you see Pantano in the blue car. Then it's Enrico Toccacello in the yellow car right there, the Supernova car. He can manage to squeeze up into 4th. That's Liuzzi right there. And then Nicholas Chiesa and Van Hooijdonk, who missed the last event because he didn't have the money to make it, is back. And we've got a car that spun. That looks like Phil Giebler, the American. Boy, that's unfortunate. Let's see what happens.
Where's that at Tabac?
That's coming round to Tabac. Yeah, they're just on the braking point.
Yeah. It's very bumpy on the approach to Tabac. We've been talking about that in qualifying for the Formula 1 cars. Unfortunately, he spun around there. Is that going to bring out the safety car? The safety car was there. I don't see yellows back here.
They're pretty good at getting these cars out of the way. They've got a lot of cranes around the Monaco circuit because it's just so tight. But these marshals are amongst the best in the world. Marshals, of course, are made up from an international set of marshals from all over different countries that come to Monaco. But they are normally very, very quick at getting cars out of the way.
And think about what it's like for one of these drivers, some of these young guys who've never been here before. They've heard about Monaco their entire life. How excited were they for their first lap, but then they've got to somehow rein in all that excitement as well.
Yeah.
Coming down, there's the yellow flag still flying as they come down to Tabac where Phil Giebler spun. Phil Giebler, if you remember, spun in Spain at turn 1 and brought out the yellow flag for laps. They wouldn't move his car. It seems to be up against the barrier at the moment.
Yeah, you see the modification to the track there, David, where they've pushed, reclaimed that land back into the Monaco harbour. About 20 meters of land they've reclaimed so they can move that apex out a little bit and make it safer.
And our first 3 cars just starting to stretch away now from Enrique Toccacello. There you see
a tremendous amount of overtaking. He always seemed to suddenly get himself behind somehow and then had to drive very forcefully to get positions back, and he did a lot of overtaking last year.
Well, last year Sperafico finished 5th here. In fact, he's the only driver racing today who actually finished the race last year. Remember, there were only 7 cars that actually finished the race, and he was one of them, finishing 5th. Here's another look at the start.
Now, a big cloud of smoke come out of the back. I think that was Vordheim's car, but it didn't seem to... No, it was Pantano's car. It was Giorgio Pantano's car, but it didn't seem to affect the car.
And there you see Toccacello, who got underneath Liuzzi right there. And then everybody was going all over the place.
Oh, a whole bunch of them peeled off and went down the
and you're right, what you say there, David.
One of them was Townsend Bell.
Simply could not have done that last year.
No. So that is a huge relief for that bottleneck.
Yeah.
And we might be seeing a bit more of that tomorrow in the Formula 1 race.
We may well.
There was Jeffrey Van Hooijdonk, Derek Hill, and Yannick Schroeder were 3 of the cars that cut across there. And the question is, did they gain any position? And if they did, will they go back and penalize them? But at this point, it's simply a matter of trying to survive the first turn.
Sperafico now under severe pressure from Pantano, and Verdheim seems to be pulling slowly away. One of the reasons is he just set the fastest lap. He was the only guy to get in the 25s in qualifying, a 1:25.8. A whole bunch of guys running between 26.1 and 26.9. So he did a very, very, very...
Height difference must be absolutely blinding to these guys.
Especially at this time in the afternoon. You can see we're facing right into the sun there as it shines down the seafront into the tunnel. So very confusing at this time in the afternoon. And of course, where Giebler spun there, it wasn't as a result of it, but it's very shadowy in that Tabac there.
It is.
So this is one of those things where, should I wear tinted goggles, tinted visor or not? Because it's great out here in the sunshine, but then when you get in the gloom of the tunnel and in some of the shadowy areas, suddenly it's a bit dark.
We just saw the standings go by in terms of the standings in the race right now. The very last man on the track right now is Will Langhorne. I should mention very briefly another American who this ride only came out at the absolute last possible moment. He wasn't supposed to be in this car at all. There was Norberto Fontana was supposed to be taking this car. As a result, at the last moment, his sponsor didn't come through. He was stuck in Argentina with plane tickets in his hand. Somehow Will Langhorne managed to squeeze in with the money, and as a result is driving at Monaco.
Which has got to be any young racing driver's dream.
But having never done it in a Formula 3000 car, having no testing, having not worked with the team, that's a little on the scary side as well.
Unfortunately, I only ever drove at Monte Carlo once. And when I think about it, that was 40 years ago this weekend. Seems hardly creditable. Or hardly credible.
There you just saw Felipe Massa working, he was sitting on with the Ferrari pitboard there with the Coloni guys. Felipe Massa, of course, now a Ferrari test driver.
And I've noticed we haven't been hearing much about Felipe Massa, which I'm not sure whether they're all keeping quiet about him at Ferrari, because he is very quick.
Well, this is the guy we're keeping our eye on, Giorgio Pantano in the blue car. Last year, he had a lot of overtaking maneuvers. He's the guy that if something's going to happen, he's going to make it happen. The question is, when is he going to do it? We'll be back with more from Monaco.
Speed Channel's coverage of the Formula 3000 Championship is brought to you by Audi. In technology, performance, and design, our goal remains constant. Never follow.
Back at Monaco, it's the Formula 3000 drivers. This is round 4, and we've got a battle right now between Giorgio Pantano and Riccardo Sparaffico. Pantano has already tried making some moves around just to try to see if he can't go for a different line, and right now he just seems to be trying to rattle Sparaffico.
Yeah. Here comes Toccacello, Nicolas Chiesa behind him. Liuzzi. Here's Nicolas Chiesa. They seem to be spread out a little bit.
And this Jeffrey Van Hooydonk behind him.
Jan Maria.
Meanwhile, back up front, Bjorn Verdheim has set yet another fastest lap. Now, Steve, here's the question. Is he putting on too much too fast with the battle going on behind him?
Well, they are on these control Avon tyres. Normally it's about 2/3, 3/4 through the race distance where these things really start to drift off. You have to take care of your tyres, Rick. You're absolutely right in what you're saying. He could well be putting too much stress too quickly on those tyres. I think the problem really with Riccardo Sparaffico now holding off Giorgio Pantano, he's too busy looking in his mirrors and he's not really concentrating on putting in his best lap time. He's driving a little bit too defensively, I think.
Well, of course, that is what happens. Bjorn Verdheim looking in his mirror and rubbing his hands with glee, or he would do if he could take him off the wheel for a minute. No doubt very happy. But, of course, this battle for second spot is absolutely crucial because these two guys are lying in second spot in the championship with equal points. Pantano and Sparaffico have got 16 points each. They're just 10 behind Verdheim. So this race is very critical for these guys because we're at round 4 of 11. So we're approaching the halfway point of the championship. And if you're going to make a move on Verdheim, every point counts. And so you've got to take the opportunities when they come.
And we saw Pantano very briefly locking it up as he was trying to catch up to Riccardo Sparaffico.
Well, of course, locking them up like that leads to flat spots. And depending how big the flat spot is, that can become very uncomfortable as the race unfolds. Verdheim keeps on setting the fastest lap. And, of course, he would do. He's got a perfectly clear track. Another fastest lap, bringing it down there, 27.9.
You've got a little bit of a gap now that's opened up as a result of when Pantano locked it up. They've got a little bit of a gap between Sparaffico and Pantano, and Sparaffico needs to take that as a brief breather, forget the guy that's behind him, and just worry about what's going on ahead of him and chase the leader.
I agree. He's been given a little breathing space there, and he wants to take advantage of that. Of course, Bjorn Verdheim pulling away a little bit now, and of course that fuel load coming off David every lap as well, which assists him in. And the tyres at this stage shouldn't really be degrading as much. They don't degrade as much as the Formula 1 tyres do over a short run. They really just seem to get to about 20 laps and drop off, and that's, I think, when these guys are going to have to be very, very careful. Well, the track will become very slippy underneath them.
With a controlled tyre, of course, you can afford to have a much harder compound because you have no competitive pressures from another tyre manufacturer. But looking very smoothly there. As you said, the fuel load's still fairly heavy. He's got 36 laps to go left. That last fastest lap of him would have qualified him like 12th. So he's still a good bit off his qualifying time yet. But of course the problem is when the car is at its heaviest, if you abuse the tyres then early on, that could be tough on the tyres when you've got the most weight on board. Quite a big gap now, back to second and third. But Pantano very, very close. Just a slight... like that. He, yes, Sparaffico there got a bit loose going up the hill. Must have lost a bit of momentum. But, of course, it's very hard to capitalise here. You know, you're not going to get round and round here, are you? I mean,
okay, you're Pantano. Where do you take that risk at? You got
time overtaking parts right there. Get him under braking, coming down out of the tunnel, down to that Nouvelle chicane. It's very risky, but it's very difficult to pass anywhere else, David.
Well, of course, all this complex are going through now. The Tabac, the swimming pool, and into La Rascasse, very, very, there's no way you can make a move down here, really.
No.
We understand that Townsend Bell is slowly working his way through the field. We're talking about the fact it's difficult to pass, but at least in the back of the pack he's managed to do it. He's passed Will Langhorne, now he's passed Tony Schmidt, and he is up to 14th.
Behind the other American, Derek Hill.
Well, that was where Ricciardo nearly lost it the previous lap, going down into that first turn when the car just wants to drift over towards that Armco barrier on the left-hand side at Sandoval.
And this Jeffrey Van Hooydonk, Rafael Jean-Maria right behind him. And that is the battle for 7th, and behind them is Jaroslav Yanis and Yannick Schroeder.
That's a good battle there, very tight battle.
Except that, how do you get by?
Well, yeah, it's difficult.
And at some point, you know, you got to remember, these guys don't have lots of experience. At some point, does the red mist get in the way?
Oh, yeah, unfortunately it does. And you've got to really make sure that, well, you've really got to wait for the guy in front of you to try and make a mistake. But if he makes it in the wrong place and you can't capitalize, you really can't do much about it.
And Jean-Maria, what a season he's had. You know, he qualified the very first race, he qualified 8th. The second 2 races, he qualified dead last, even though his teammate was up front. And then this race, he managed to qualify in the top 10 again. So it's like, who is he? Is he the guy who qualifies in the top 10? Or is he the guy who qualifies on the last lap? Or in the last of the part of the grid? Meanwhile, Bjorn Verdheim up front, he's just checking out. Let Riccardo Sperafico and Giorgio Pantano battle behind me. I am going to leave them all behind. That's what Bjorn Verdheim is doing at Monaco. We'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to Speed Channel's live coverage of the Formula 3000 race from Monaco. And you see Bjorn Verdheim get on the power and squirrel it right out there. Meanwhile, this is the battle going on behind him. Giorgio Pantano and Riccardo Sperafico, and they are not catching up. Bjornheim going faster and faster. By the way, join us tomorrow for live coverage of the Monaco Grand Prix, Formula 1 on this track. We start things off with the Acura pre-race show at 7:30 in the morning Eastern Time, 4:30 for all you West Coast folks. Peter Windsor will have a feature on the new McLaren that everybody's talking about. That's all tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning, only on Speed. Bjorn Verdheim has set yet another fast lap. So even if Pantano could get by Riccardo Sperafico, there's some questions whether he'd really be able to catch up to this guy.
Well, he's certainly doing, so far, all that he could possibly do to impress Formula 1 people.
Nice and controlled through there. He really doesn't seem to be, at the moment, pushing too hard either, does he? He's driving very smoothly.
Doesn't have to, does he? No. But the gap back to
you have to create the gap.
Nearly 10 seconds back to Sperafico, Pantano and Liuzzi. Not very far behind them. So obviously Liuzzi's hoping that these guys might make it.
Lost our picture for just a brief moment. Yeah, you got Enrique Tocacello as well in that Supernova car. He's closing in on him, but can he do anything? That's going to be another question. We're looking at the pretty shot of Monaco, but unfortunately we've lost our pictures, so we're going to take a brief commercial break. When we come back, hopefully we'll have pictures of cars on the circuit. We'll be right back with more. Monaco, where we have paid the utility bill, we have plugged in the camera, and we have pictures back again of this guy, Bjorn Verdheim, who is on a mission, and he is running away with this race. Qualified on the pole, and he is checked out from the 2 guys behind him.
Nearly 12 seconds in front of these 2 who are battling furiously for second spot, and really Tocacello is definitely catching these 2 guys up. Pantano struggling mightily to get around Sperafico. Tocacello just out of sight, just behind him there, but I think he's making a bit of ground on him.
Should mention, while we were away, Jeffrey Van Hooydonk apparently cracked under the pressure of Jean-Maria, who was right behind him, and he's dropped back to, had a problem, he's dropped back to 12th, and Townsend Bell is right ahead of him in 11th. So Townsend Bell moving up as much as you can be moving up at Monaco.
Derek Hill has dropped back a few spots. Whoa! Is that
Bernhard Aringer?
Yeah, Bernhard Aringer in only his second outing in Formula 3000, standing in for the injured Patrick Friesacker, so he's doing well. There's Nicholas Chiesa there in the 7 car.
figure out who he just went by, and obviously whoever he went by, that's Will Langhorne in the Cologne in the BCN car. All those red cars look alike out there.
He seems to be struggling. You know, he's making it very, very easy for everyone to get past him, so I think he must have some sort of problem.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, Will Langhorne has not tested with this team, not tested with this car. He, really just showed up here and got the ride. Formerly ran Formula Atlantics, did relatively well. In fact, he finished second to Sam Hornish Jr. in the Rookie of the Year Championship back in 1999 for Formula Atlantics. Ran 3 IRL races, downhill skier. But today, he is just trying to figure out his way to hang on to this car and get around.
Not having a good day, running in 15th at the moment. Derek Hill is back in 16th, so Derek Hill must be having another, one has to say, pretty miserable day this year, coming in with a good team there, but things just haven't gone Derek's way at all, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to them, because Dan Zambell was behind him. Now he's 3 spots in front of him. So.
And we should mention Phil Giebler, the other American in the race, who spun early on. As a result, he's out of the race. Not a great weekend for the Americans. I know Townsend Bell keeps talking about this as being a learning year, and his job is to go from track to track and learn as much as he possibly can. And it's been a humbling experience, to say the least.
And that, in fact, going up the hill there, Bjorn Verdheim with a 12-second lead over these guys is about to lap Derek Hill. This is it was really right towards the beginning of this season that he had to suddenly change gears and come back into Formula 3000.
And in fact, this Durango team is probably not the team that he originally would have signed up with if he was going to come back.
Correct. I mean, last year he drove for Coloni.
The team's been around for a long time, but hasn't done that well. And as I said earlier on, I think Giorgio Pantano is actually helping this team rise to another level.
So Pantano, again, I think a little bit closer this lap. But Ricciardo seems to be able to just pull away on the straight. Pantano closes up sort of in the last few corners, coming around Rascasse and up into the Anton Nogues, and then Ricardo Sferifico just manages to pull away a little bit down the straight into turn 1.
And you know, one thing we haven't talked about, kind of a bit of a surprise, is no one's hit the wall. I mean, with the exception of Phil, who spun, and I don't think he actually hit anything. We have not seen anybody have contact with anyone or anything at this point.
Now everybody, we've had a great day so far, because we were sure that in Formula 1 qualifying that came on earlier this morning that we'd see somebody goof up, because it's so vital to be on the Derek Hill's car being pushed away. He obviously has got some sort of mechanical problem, I'd say, for him to be going that slowly.
Yeah, touch wood so far. These guys have been very well behaved, although let's give it another 8 or 9 laps and see those tires start to fall off a little bit. See how well they can control the machines then.
Once again, this is the battle for second and third. The red car.
These two guys having this terrific battle. If ever there was any potential for somebody to make a mistake and belt something, this would be it. But they're both driving with very cool heads.
Again, you see how Pantano manages to close up. And then the gap just opens back up again.
Of course, these are all sealed engines, supposed to be exactly the same, but like all these formulae which are based on a control of engine, chassis, tyres, they aren't that. There's always somebody has another, 5 or 10 horsepower or whatever. It's always the way.
Well, I keep looking at the rear wings, which is at least one way you could trim a little downforce on or off the cars, which would optimize through Portier to the entrance of the tunnel. Pantano just slid a little bit, and that lost him. That lost him the position to have that run coming through the end of the tunnel. But watch for that next lap. If they manage to keep this distance, I think Pantano's going to have a go at it.
Yeah, and I think Sferifico's car is just a hair quicker on the straight, which could be less swing.
And you see how Giorgio Pantano keeps trying to take a different line. Rattle him a little bit, let him know you're there, maybe get some advantage, so that way if Sferifico makes a mistake in a turn, you're right there to take advantage.
You're right, Rick. You're absolutely right. That's just what's happening. Now Pantano just needs to keep level-headed, stop right on the tail, and go for that move through the tunnel.
Great for Toccacello, all this, of course. I think the Sferifico is probably running just a little bit off the pace. Look at that, nearly 20-second lead Verdheim's got over Sferifico. I think Sferifico is running a little bit off the pace, which is playing into the hands now of Toccacello.
Now, Mirabeau round the right-hander, down into the old Lowe's hairpin.
Oh, he had a thought then, didn't he?
It's now the grand hairpin.
All right, he's trying it again. He's trying to set him up on a different line. Can he be set up?
Whoa, and this could be it. That was
Sperrifico looking very squirrely coming into Portier, so that should give Pantano a little bit of a break there.
Come on, this is not the shot. This is not the shot we want to see.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, he didn't pull it off.
See, he's definitely quicker through the tunnel, I'm sure.
But more importantly, he's had a taste of blood. Now he knows that if he rattles him a little bit more, he can get that guy to go squirrely again, and maybe he can take advantage of it. Meanwhile, that yellow car right behind Tocacello.
He's really catching up now.
Funny looking at all the crew guys. The one advantage of being on pit lane, their garage, their paddock area is actually 2 miles away from the track.
Oh, side by side.
Oh,
careful.
They connect. Pantano, they have a little wheel.
Here goes Tocacello.
Where did Tocacello come from?
Tocacello. Well, of course, banging wheels there down at the La Rascasse and Anthony Nogues. Pretty good level-headed driving there by everybody. But
yeah, that could have been ugly.
That could have been very ugly, instead of which it worked out great. Tocacello gave him the chance. He very nearly was able to capitalize himself, but Sperrifico saw him coming and closed the gap between him and the wall on the exit of Anthony Nogues, but that must have rattled Sperrifico.
Yeah, but Tocacello's seen the possibilities now.
Yeah, the rear end of Sperrifico's car, the Coloni car, is really very loose now. I think those rear tires have...
You've got to look at his tires when we see him on his close-up shot.
You can see Tocacello trying to take a run at him, and that was very important in the points battle, right, by the way, because those two guys
are only 2 points apart.
Well, here it is. Let's have this is the replay of that move.
Yeah, Sperrifico went just a little wide.
He was in there.
Wow.
And Sperrifico gave him a gap, and he got through the gap. You couldn't complain at that. I mean, he was right there, and he had to let him through. And now Tocacello's having a go, going into the tobacco.
I was going to make the point. Pantano and Sperrifico were tied in points, so Pantano got by, and he'll move ahead in points for this race.
But it's also very important for Tocacello because he's only 2 points behind those two going into this race. And Liuzzi is now right there. He goes again. He goes very wide.
He's got him.
Tocacello's got him.
And now Liuzzi's there.
Wow. I wonder if he's missing a gear.
You think?
Could be. Although he just keeps going very wide in there, but he might be struggling to find a gear. Boy, it's falling apart now for Sperrifico because Tocacello's got by him, and now right behind him is Liuzzi, and Nicolas Chiesa is not very far behind him. Now, Nicolas Chiesa, we've seen, is pretty good at bouncing off people and things, and they're not going to be wanting to see Nicolas Chiesa come up in the mirrors, I can tell you that.
Remember, Liuzzi's a new guy this year. He's never raced here before in Formula 3000, so he's learning the way around this track. He doesn't want to make any major mistakes.
Is that Tocacello slowing down, or is that?
I think that was one of the back markers. I think that was Tony Schmidt being last, one of the Team Astro Mega cars. Meanwhile, up front, Bjorn Wertheim is going, I kind of liked it better when Sperrifico was right behind me. Last we checked, he had about an 18-second lead. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, he's pretty much home and dried. We've only got, what have we got, 20 laps or less to go, and he's got a huge lead. There you see Tocacello going by Sperrifico, who went very wide into La Rascasse. And he's slow out of here, but again, he moves over to make sure that Liuzzi doesn't go down the outside of him.
Doesn't seem to be that much wrong with the tyres. I mean, just on a visual inspection of them, which is all we can do from here, of course. But
is it possible that when Pantano went by, there was a just slight nudge?
Perhaps.
Is it possible that there was a little more damage done to Sperrifico?
Could well be, Rick. Remember, these are steel suspensions, so they will buckle and bend a little bit.
Indeed, there's Ricardo Sperrifico on pit lane, and obviously he's got a problem because in Formula 3000 you don't pit unless you've got a real problem. There's no refueling under no refueling allowed at all. You normally don't come in and change tires, so you don't come in unless you got big issues.
And that's
remember, he was the one driver who finished this race last year by finishing 5th, who's still competing today. and that's really going to hurt him in the point standings.
It is.
He'll finish with his 16 points that he came into the race with. Meanwhile, Giorgio Pantano, who's tied with him at 16 points, will gain 8, even if it just finishes the way it is. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back. Back here at Monte Carlo, it is round 4 of the Formula 3000 Championship at Monaco, where Bjorn Verdheim is checking out from everybody. Ricardo Sperafico apparently has managed to get back into the race. Unfortunately, he is about to get lapped by the guy, I think that is Pantano, I believe, who got by him earlier. Now the question is he just going to move over and let him by? One would hope that he would, because he's back further in the race right now. Don't forget, Speed is your home for open wheel racing, not only Formula 1 and Formula 3000. Tonight, we'll have live coverage of the Champ Car World Series race from the Milwaukee Mile. Live coverage will start at 8:30 in the evening Eastern Time. You won't want to miss the Champ Cars under the lights. You know, Paul Tracy took the win here last year, and will need another win to keep his points lead. Again, that's tonight at 8:30 in the evening. Night racing only on Speed.
And I wish I was there for that. It's going to be a great event. I mean, the lighting they're going to have is absolutely extraordinary, because they've got all the brand new grandstands. So some deep
professional job.
Extremely. Number 1 on his car, number 1 in your heart.
Well, and he's definitely putting his claim into the Formula 3000 Championship for this year, having won the very first race of the season, finished second in the next 2 races. And if he can come away with a victory here, he will come away with 36 points, while second place will only have 24. That's if Pantano finishes in second, this car right here.
Get an idea of the lead that he's got now. Well in excess of 20 seconds. The sun's going down anyway, but it seems to have gone behind some cloud. Started off in brilliant sunshine.
You see the sky's quite clear over the palace, but it is getting misty, David. Out towards the sea.
Jaroslav Yanis up to 7th. Well, that's not much of a gain for him. He started in 8th, so very young, of course, Yanis, only 19 years old. Terrific battle here from Toccocello and Liuzzi.
You were talking about Jaroslav Yanis. The amazing thing about him is he started his first Formula 3000 race. He debuted in Monza in 2001.
And Toccocello coming under big pressure now from Liuzzi. Liuzzi obviously quicker. If he could get around him, I think he'd pull away. But as we keep on stressing, getting around here, not that easy.
Toccocello seems to be able to pull away through that tunnel a little bit. And then just as we saw earlier on, Liuzzi seems to be closing up, going down into Portier, closing that gap up. Liuzzi again just ducking left and right and letting Toccocello know that he's there and trying to force the error. Stay calm and stay focused. Of course, it's easy for me to say that. I'm not driving the car.
Stay calm, stay focused, and stay close. They're going to the hairpin, and when they come out the tunnel, you watch, he'll have pulled away again.
Formula 3000 guys get to use the Formula 1 monitors on pit lane. Right up the side.
Liuzzi going over the Nouvelle chicane. He's trying to leave that brake into the absolute nth degree and went 1 degree too many.
Yeah, but fortunately didn't hurt himself there, didn't cause any problems. And he knows that he can rattle him and that he can cause some problems, because he almost got by that one location. Meanwhile, you got Nicholas Chiesa in the back. In the front, the yellow car is Enrique Toccocello. And here's what happened just a moment ago.
Oh, boy, Liuzzi locking him up big time coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah, I don't think that that's the place that Liuzzi's...
Toccocello definitely picks up a lot of ground through the tunnel. Yeah, Liuzzi smoking the tires. Are going to catch... they're going to catch Langhorne round about La Rascas.
Look at Chiesa, how Chiesa's closed up.
Oh! Yeah.
That was Toccocello, who apparently decided that he wasn't going to wait for Will Langhorne to move over. He just took it on the inside, going across the area that's clean this year.
That, of course, has played right into the hands of Toccocello, who got by Will Langhorne before they got to the Rascasse and Anthony Nogue's section, and given him a huge breather. Look at it. That's going to take those other two guys.
Now, this is a replay of what we've just seen. Yeah, and again, you couldn't have done that last year. That area didn't exist.
Yeah, but that's one of those questions of penalty. I mean, should you be penalizing a guy for doing that? I mean, it's one thing where you're locking it up and you're doing it because you don't have a choice. And he started to lock it up very slightly. But, I mean, did he gain an advantage over the competitors behind him by doing that?
Well, he gained a huge advantage because they got trapped behind him, going through, had to follow him through those tight corners.
You know, I mean, like I say, there was a slight lockup, but it almost looked like his plan was to dive underneath and use it as part of the track. Oh, yeah, and then there's this guy, Bjorn Verdheim. The gap between Verdheim and Pantano has stayed at 23 seconds for quite some time, so it's stabilized out. Doesn't look like Pantano can cut away into the lead, and as long as Verdheim doesn't have any problems in the remaining 12 laps, he should be able to take a victory. And that's Giorgio Pantano. Remember that he was behind Riccardo Speraffico, who's already gone into the pits. He's already at least a lap down, and he had to get by him again. Now, once again, remember that Speraffico is already a lap down, so it wasn't a pass for position. But I'm curious if that slowed up Pantano at all in his quest to try to catch up with Bjorn Verdheim.
His car seems to be okay now, Speraffico. I wonder if he had a flat tire.
We're going to take a quick break as they continue to race and the laps begin to wind down here at Monaco. Bjorn Verdheim's the leader in the Formula 3000 race.
Well, Liuzzi's made up a lot of that time again. He's now right behind Toccocello as they go up the hill.
There you see Liuzzi taking a look to the inside of Toccocello. Chiesa.
Whoa!
Oh!
Boy,
a little too much of a look.
Oh, do you think Toccocello lifted a little bit and just blindsided him going into that Massenet corner there? Boy, oh boy, David Sears there taking his headset off, really ticked off there.
And that means both of his
Toccocello cars are out, and of course, Supernova that he was is just such a great team, and he's having a terrible year this year.
And we'd complimented everybody on doing such a great job and not hitting anything, and that was a weird way to hit.
Look at it.
Oh, look at that
Boy.
Oh, listen to the noise.
Those guys were so close.
And we understand the safety car is out on the circuits. And I can understand why.
That's
yeah, you see the reaction on pit lane. Very frustrated team members. Antonio Liuzzi out, as well as Enrique Toccocello. Toccocello, who was the only driver besides Bjorn Verdheim who had scored points in every single race this season. And that has come to an end.
Wow. Nicolas Chiesa, of course, managing to steer clear of all that carnage in front of him. Both drivers seem to be just fine.
Now, let's think about this.
But I know Liuzzi got right up behind him, but...
when they clear away the carnage, you're going to have Bjorn Verdheim in the lead with Giorgio Pantano.
Let's have another look at this situation. Look out.
Oh, he just ran right at the back of him somehow. Just a bit of a...
Chiesa was lucky to get by.
Nicolas Chiesa was very lucky to get by. Just poor judgment there, and I'm not sure whether Toccocello lifted off suddenly or unexpectedly, or whether he just misjudged it coming up behind him, wanted to get tucked right under his wing as he went down through Casino Square, because he was quick through Mirabeau and the Grand Hotel hairpin. I thought perhaps he was felt he wanted to be really close for that, but...
Those marshals were very lucky. You saw the marshals sprint to the left as the debris started to fly over and through the debris catch fence. But those cars actually were quite high. I mean, they must have been almost level with the top at one point of that catch fence.
Tony Liuzzi.
Lucky escape there.
You see a very frustrated driver. All right, let's not just watch a replay, but let's listen to a replay of that accident one more time. But it just doesn't, was it just a lapse of judgment? Did one driver, but I can't believe that's a place where the driver would be lifting off, where Turkicello would have been lifting off.
Well, he would be lifting off to go into Massa. He'd have to lift off a little bit, but I mean, obviously Liuzzi would know he's going to lift off there, and he just let himself run way too close behind him. And but of course, this guy here, Bjorn Verdheim, is the guy who's going to suffer the absolute most for that. He had a 24-second lead near enough with just, 10 laps left to go.
Yeah.
And now Giorgio Pantano, the top overtaker in this class of racing, is right behind him. And there won't be many laps left to run after the safety car pulls off. And of course, the track is now dirty. It's late in the race. There's lots of rubber been laid down. There's lots of balled up rubber and dust lying around. And these guys are going to be doing slow laps behind the pace car. Their tires, when the green flag drops again, will be absolute rubbish. They'll be covered. And there is Christian Horner, not looking too happy about it.
And one thing is, as the cars were going by, we'll take another look at this first.
Oh, he's well behind that. No, he's not. Oh, he just ran right in the back of his wheel. Boy. He was lucky that thing didn't go over.
The front of the car was way up in the air.
Chiesa was very lucky that neither of them bounced back off the guardrail and did a ping pong across the. I mean, they both got to the outside guardrail and stuck to it.
All right, now when the field reforms, as I watched them go around a moment ago, you've got Verdheim in the lead, but you've got a lapped car. It looks like Bernhard Auinger in between Verdheim and Pantano. So when the restart happens, it's very possible that Bernhard Auinger could still be in the way. And let's not forget the other American.
The pace car lights off.
Looks like it. The other American still in there, Townsend Bell, who's still in competition. That moves him up to 7th as a result of those two cars dropping out ahead of him.
Yeah, now you see these guys starting to weave left and right, and they should do as well. You need to try and get some of that heat back into these tyres.
Well, the heat in and all that rolled up, that build-up off too. I mean, it'd be quarter of an inch thick on there, that build-up. Those tyres would be hopeless for...
And Jeffrey Van Hooydonk, who missed the last race because the sponsorship money didn't come through, is now in a points-paying position. He's in 8th, the final points position for this year. The safety car is in, and it's green flag racing. We've got 8 laps left at Monaco, and
Auinger goes down the safety road there. Let's hope everybody keeps their head on its first lap.
See if we can get it going.
He just seemed to drive down there very sedately. I don't know what brought that on. Here we see it.
Almost as if he was trying to get out of the way, but that's not the way to do it.
No, how peculiar.
And now he stalled it.
Well,
and that is a massive break for Giorgio Pantano, because Pantano is now right behind Bjorn Verdheim. Here's the question: does Pantano have anything for him, or now Verdheim is going to have to work for that victory that at one point he had a 23-second lead, and it's gone. He's got like about a second gap. And as you've mentioned so many times, David, Pantano is good at passing.
Well, look.
Yeah, this is the time,
getting
right?
very crossed up there going into the chicane, the Nouvelle chicane, but seems to have the race under control. He's just got to keep very cool now.
And you'll notice there's a red car between Pantano and Chiesa. That is Riccardo Sperafico, who's, once again, because he went into the pits, is a lap or two back. So you've got Verdheim and Pantano together right there. Then that's Sperafico right there. He is not in 3rd. He's actually a back marker. And then that car, the blue and white car just coming into the screen, is Nicolas Chiesa in 3rd.
So the tyres coming back to more normal now after that lap, although it'll probably take another lap with the sun gone down like a
change. He'll be on now a new set of tyres, or tyres are in much better condition than the rest of the field. He'll feel that he really can push these tyres and want to make a point, but of course he's not really a contender in the race.
Well, the secret for Giorgio Pantano is to a degree, forget Riccardo Sperafico and go after Bjorn Verdheim. You get caught up with that guy behind you, and as we've always said, you stop driving your race.
But the trouble is, of course, he's looking out for him because he knows he's well in front, but he doesn't want him breathing down his neck, because all he's going to do is make the slightest mistake and And Sperafico run into him or something.
And Sperafico's having another look. He should just let him go.
Oh, let him go.
Whoa!
Silly boy, let him go.
To keep it running, keep it running.
Well, they have got onboard starters on the car.
To ignore him.
Sperafico thinking of either?
I don't know.
Oh my God, Pantano's team are going to be absolutely livid.
Should just have let him go.
What a...
It's almost like he didn't even think he was there, but you got to look, you got to see.
He must have known he was there. What on earth was he thinking about? Because he obviously was not going to be able to beat Birdheim in the next 5 laps, because he just was no way he was going to be able to keep up with him.
Meanwhile, Bjorn Verdheim up front is going, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, he might be, but Sperafico's catching him up because, as Steve said, he's probably, if he changed the whole set of tires, he's got better tires.
Let him go by. If this point, Bjorn Verdheim, just let him go by.
But of course, the injustice here is that Sperafico is going to end up with points because of the attrition rate, and he'll end up with more points than Pantano.
Pantano is out of his car. His race is over. Instead of getting 8 points for second place, he's going to get 0 points here at Monaco. We'll be back in a moment. Back here at Monaco, things just getting stranger and stranger. Right now, Bjorn Verdheim is the leader, just ahead of Nicholas Chiesa. But what's really gotten interesting is what's happened with Ricardo Sperafico. Just a few moments ago.
Here is Ricardo Sperafico. Bjorn Verdheim there had let him go. He said, "You go by, my boy."
I've seen what can happen.
And then suddenly Sperafico slows up. Verdheim goes by again. At which point we say, Sperafico's got to be off the gas and must be headed for pit lane, which it turned out he was headed for pit lane. Obviously, they're penalizing him.
And we were discussing, should he be penalized for what happened between
him and Pantano?
I think. Well, we haven't seen a flag or anything as yet displayed. This is exactly what we see. The driver
you watch him get out
of the car.
That's not getting out because there's something wrong with the car. But so Bjorn Verdheim, with all that drama going on around him, serenely goes on his way. And there's Nicholas Chiesa, who was running in a stout 7th spot, now suddenly finds himself in 2nd.
And look at this battle right here. The battle right behind him for 3rd, 4th, 5th. Behind Chiesa is Mr. Last Row himself, Rafael Jean-Maria, is now in 3rd. Behind him, the kid, Jaroslav Yanis, is 4th.
And Zolt Baumgartner right behind. There's Nicholas Chiesa.
Think about that.
They're bound and determined not to show you your race.
Jean-Maria, who qualified in the last row for the last 2 races, finally got into the top 10 again this race, is now, looks like, if he can keep his act together, could potentially finish 3rd, although once again there's a battle going on back there. But yeah, they don't want to show us that. They keep showing us Bjorn, who's probably going to win, and Nicholas Chiesa, who's right behind him.
Yeah, we don't want to keep seeing Bjorn Verdheim. He's doing very well, thank you very much. We know he's doing well. Let's go back and see the battle. 2 laps left. Deux tours seulement remain. Yeah, well,
so Jean-Marie is 3rd, Yanis is 4th, Zolt Baumgartner 5th, and our good buddy Townsend Bell is in 6th.
I just can't believe that Giorgio Pantano would let himself be suckered in to such an incredibly infantile mistake as to not let Sperafico go by.
Sperafico through, yeah.
I mean, he completely duffed himself up. He was in a solid 2nd position, and in 2nd, or going into the race in 2nd position as well in the points. I mean, it would have been an absolute gift from heaven.
And what a huge advantage it's going to mean for Bjorn Verdheim coming out of this.
Absolutely.
Because he'll have 36 points.
And Sperafico, and both of his immediate contestants, Pantano and Sperafico, are going to get few points.
Yeah. And the man who was in 4th, Enrique Tocacello, he's out. Man in 5th, Vincentonio Liuzzi, he's out.
I mean, this is going to be just a huge day for the Arden team and for Bjorn Verdheim. But he has driven absolutely impeccably at the restart after safety car. I mean, he's still rocketed off into the distance when those tyres were at their absolute worst. Just one lap left, I guess.
Because he had built up a lead of 20 time, did not finish this race last year. Didn't win till the very end of the season. Then he won again at the beginning of the season. This is race number 4. He's got 1 victory and 2 second places. This would be victory number 2. And at this point, it would give him a huge lead in the championship for Formula 3000.
His lead will suddenly jump from 10 to 20 points at the very least.
And Nicholas Chiesa has also had a very calm race, cleanly running around in second place. For a while, we thought he was going to have to do battle with...
Unlike the Nicholas Chiesa that we saw at Imola just a few weeks back, who bounced off everybody at least once, sometimes twice. And in this one place where you'd expect there to be a lot of trouble, he drove by with no problem.
And the winner of the race in Monaco, it is Bjorn Verdheim. Arden International. And that's the Denbla V guys in the blue who are just happy because their man, because
he did cross the line before he did all that slowing down.
I wasn't quite
I'm not sure about that.
Wait a minute.
I think the Pillock slowed up. They've won it. He didn't get to the checkered flag. What the heck was he thinking of? See,
he's got it. He lost the race! He lost the race!
I thought he'd done that wrong when he came by the pit slowly.
I must apologise, David. I thought he had crossed the line.
I just assumed he had. I looked away for a moment and looked back.
He obviously assumed he had too. What an infant! Oh my God!
Well, the only good news for Bjorn Verdheim is he only threw away 2 points this year from first to second. Nicholas Chiesa has won the Formula 3000 race at Monaco by virtue of Bjorn Verdheim slowing up to wave at his crew and never going past the checkered flag. An absolutely amazing finish, and Bjorn Verdheim has got to slap himself
around. He wants Christian Horner to slap him around a bit, I think. What an incredibly dumb mistake.
How do you possibly do that?
He knows where the start-finish line is, surely.
You know, and more importantly, the old motto, you know what? You always power through the finish. It doesn't matter what it is. Nicholas Chiesa.
Well, he didn't expect that win, did he?
I don't think anybody expected that win.
I mean, a solid 7th all day, and then suddenly wins it.
His best finish up until now was 5th in Italy last year.
Don't try anything silly, lad.
Like, no donuts, no nothing. This time, just get back to the garage.
Just get back to the garage and put the car away and enjoy it. Do not try this. He needs a professional driver.
An impressive donut and then slip into the harbour.
23 years old from Copenhagen.
Well,
he's going to try it.
And there's some serious shock. Who won the race? Did I win the race? And you could almost see the shock on Bjorn.
Whoa! That's enough
he did hit the wall. He hit the wall.
That's Rafael Jean-Maria, who's finishing 3rd.
Nearly ran over the back of Nicholas Chiesa and then hit the wall.
All right, switch him off.
Forget
boys.
the first 44 races. It's the last race that's gotten bizarre. Last lap it's gotten bizarre here.
I can't believe it.
That's Phil Giebler, his teammate. You see standing there with the overalls hanging down. Bjorn, you want to explain this one to us, buddy? I can't wait to hear the post-race interviews for this one. Yes, Nicholas, you should pray because that was a gift, a miracle.
Well, he blew us a kiss before the race started while he was standing in pit lane, but I bet you he never thought in his wildest moment that he would be winning this race.
And you know what? If you only win one race in your Formula 3000
this is
career,
the one to win.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Now, Bjorn Verdheim is going to be the subject now. You've got the reverse side of the coin. All those Formula 1 teams, team managers, sponsors there, they're going to be looking at Bjorn Verdheim and saying, you know, you expect us to put this guy in a Formula 1 car and he can't even... There's that build-up on the tyres I was telling you about. Wow. What?
A rookie mistake. What more can you put it down to?
He can't believe his lucky stars. Kisses the car, and well, you should. Nicholas Chiesa, who started 6th back on the 3rd row up until today, in the 5 races previous to this in Formula 3000 in Monaco, no winner had ever come from lower than 3rd on the grid.
All the races to give away. Oh my! I feel terrible myself. What an absolute.
And what is he saying to Bjorn?
Idiot.
Well, maybe better next time. Maybe you look for checkered flag next time, okay?
I can't believe
Look at Nicholas. He can't believe where he's standing.
And Gia Maria there. He can't believe it either.
He's still trying to figure out why he hit the wall afterwards. Nicholas Chiesa, the winner of Monaco's Formula 3000 event. National anthem for Denmark, because they were all ready for Bjorn Verdheim's, but he never quite made it across the finish line ahead of Nicholas Chiesa. In fact, he's lucky that he finished 2nd. Take a look at this. This is what happened. Now, this is where we thought he'd won. He slowed down.
I thought all along, is he doing this right? Because we all know that line is way round the corner here. There it is. I mean, I can't believe it.
There's no enthusiasm.
I shouldn't think there is.
In the way Bjorn Verdheim is spraying the champagne. Rafael Jean-Maria, remember, like I said, you know, he started last on this last row in the last 2 races. This time he qualified in the top 10, and now he's finished 3rd. But this guy can't believe his luck.
You don't want to waste that.
Your father! You've seen your father over there.
Happy to be there. All right, let's take a look at how they finished out here today. Nicholas Chiesa with the Den Blau V team winning, beating Bjorn Verdheim, Rafael Jean-Maria. And check out who finished 6th. Townsend Bell.
Townsend Bell started 17th, ended up 6th. He was a bit lucky, but he did do some passing as well. So good run for Townsend Bell. He needed it.
Jeffrey Van Hooydonk in points, Yannick Schroeder in points. Will Langhorne finished 9th, all things considered. That was amazing.
Bernard Haringer went off there on the restart. For some reason, Ricardo Sperafico, we think, was probably disqualified. Giorgio Pantana was pushed off by Sperafico.
Derek Hill, unfortunately, Phil Giebler, the other 2 Americans, didn't do very well. Both of them out of the race early on. Boy, what a bizarre finish. It was kind of an intriguing race and a bizarre finish. Well, that's going to do it for this Formula 3000 race from Monaco. F3000 Circus will have a little break in the action since they don't travel to Canada, but they will return to action in a month's time. We'll have live coverage of the 5th round of the International Formula 3000 Championship from the Nürburgring in Germany on Saturday, June 28th at 9:30 in the morning. That will be immediately following Formula 1 qualifying. Don't forget, though, tomorrow, live coverage of Formula 1 Grand Prix of Monaco. Live coverage starting at 7:30 in the morning Eastern Time with the Acura pre-race show, 4:30 for all you West Coast folks. So for David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, and Peter Windsor, I'm Rick DeGrule. We expect to see you back here tomorrow for the Grand Prix of Monaco.